Backstage at the Gympie Music Muster for 2024, and my next special guest here at 2TM is the one and only Golden Guitar winner, Luke O'Shea. Hello.
Hey Shaz, how you going? Hello,
I'm good.
Viewers out there, wherever you are.
It is so good to be catching up with you back here at the Muster. It's always a top weekend, isn't it?
Well, especially when you put in an order for the weather that we have today, like in this weekend, it's just absolutely gorgeous. And so what I think the new slogan for Queensland should be, beautiful one day, beautiful Aurora the next. It's just stunning weather, and it's great to be here.
Yeah, known as the Sunshine State, and the sun is certainly shining today and yesterday as well, fingers crossed, because Gympie can be known for the wet weather, which...
We have I think Gympie is the land of extremes. We've had it where it's been flooding, it's been freezing, been dusty, but this is probably the extreme of the most pristine it can get, and it's a pleasure to be part of it, that's for sure.
Yeah. Now, painting a bit of a picture backstage here, we're in the veranda bar. Now, because of the height difference between you and I, you're seated, I'm standing.
That's all right, we're okay. We're not that much
No,
taller.
I'll see. There, look at that. and we just had... the one...
Big.
Good things come in small packages.
That's true.
The one thing I love about Muster each and every time I'm here is just how friendly everyone is. I mean, just before we started this interview, James Blundell came over and you were catching up, and he grabbed one of your CDs, one of your new albums.
Paid either, the rat bag.
Different drum.
Yeah, different drum. Yeah, it's made with a lot of love. And look, it's a different musical world out there. We understand there's... I don't have a CD player in my car anymore. I don't have a CD player in my home anymore. It's all linked to Bluetooth and speakers and Sonos and all that stuff. But I still love the art and craft and the wicker of creating an album where you start at song number 1, you go to song number 2, 3, 4, and those B-sides on those albums that are never going to make the radio format. But those B-side songs on those albums become your favourite. They're the ones that connect with individuals on a very deep level. And so I only released the album physically for a whole year, and then I've just released it digitally for everyone else out there. But if you're going to get it digitally, maybe start at chapter 1, go to chapter 2, 3, instead of going from chapter 4 to 6 to 8 to 10 to 1. I want that flow. You know, if I'm going to give you a heavy song, I'm going to lift you out of it. I'm not going to leave you down there.
Take the journey.
Take the journey with me.
Yeah, nice.
And so, there's a lot of love that goes into creating an album, and the light and the dark, and the laughter and the tears, you want that. And so I've given that to you. I hope you enjoy it. Take it on.
Now, with putting an album together, I mean, I know everyone's process is different, but for you, having done this, so many times, why is it important not just to put an album out there for the sake of putting new music out? It's actually a process, and there's a lot of love, there's a lot of care in each and every single one of the songs, and the whole process from go to woe.
Well, thank you for picking up on that, Shaz, because there is, and I think you're creating a body of work. And for me as a school teacher, I see a lot of holes in the curriculum. I see a lot of holes in our history that we don't really know as a nation of people, that I feel is pretty important, be it the way that we look after our returned veterans. It's a problem that we haven't learnt from generation to generation. That trauma rolls on. Or the way that we need to really start looking after our fly-out miners and their families that are left behind when it's a one-parent family, and the pressures that go on to them. And then, obviously, connecting those bridges between the First Nations and our understanding of what went down in history, and that was never taught in schools, and it's something that's really vital to us as Australians to know. And it's not about making people feel shameful or guilty, it's just about educating so we can understand why we're at where we are, and so we can make better informed decisions when it comes time in the future to make some pretty key decisions. And that's my role. I'm a school teacher by trade, but it's not much different to standing on a stage in front of people. So there's enough songs about love and utes and drinking, and other artists do that really, really well, and I like that stuff. But my role is, I think, to maybe touch a nerve, annoy people, start conversations, and and maybe change perspective, which I feel needs to change.
And not shy away from some of the harder topics.
Well, yeah. Yeah. You've got to hit the hornet's nest sometimes in order to kind of get a reaction. And I got to say, the thing I'm most grateful is that no matter what I throw out there, country music audiences really embrace it. You know, no matter how challenging or difficult I think I've made it. And that's the magic of a song. The song I call a sugar-coated pill. You can take a pretty big and ugly concept and condense it into a pretty sweet-tasting little 4-minute song with a melody, and people are much more willing to ingest it and ponder it and allow it to absorb, and then let it work its magic. And I don't take it for granted. I don't abuse it. I really highly respect that craft, and that seems to resonate and connect with audiences. So I'll continue to do it as long as people like you want to share it with your listeners, and that's very important to me.
Well, the latest single off the album, Dharawal, I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about this, because that does touch on some First Nations history.
Absolutely. Well, it's probably the song that's closest to the bone for me ever. I grew up on Dharawal country. Dharawal is the language group of the area south of Sydney, Botany Bay, Kurnell, Ground Zero, where Captain Cook first landed, and that language group goes all the way down through to now almost Direct Bay and out west to the foothills of the Blue Mountains, Camden, Campbelltown. And I was lucky enough to grow up with the Royal National Park as my backyard. The Royal National Park in Sydney is the world's second oldest national park, so it's still pretty pristine. And where I grew up, I'd play in the creeks and in the caves where there's a lot of artwork on the walls and a lot of carvings in the rocks, and still a lot of artifacts left in the cave from what was a race of people that just disappeared. It wasn't talked about, it wasn't taught in our schools, and so it was like I'd entered this mystical realm of something that I knew nothing about. Now there's a real lament there, because I could feel the power of the country where I was, but I had no teacher, no elder to give me a rite of passage or to say to myself or to the world that I truly belonged there. And that feeling stayed with me for a long time, and I travelled the world with other cultures and creeds and all that stuff to try and find that answer or those feelings. And it's only recently, say in the last 10 years, that the wheels turned enough for the Indigenous teachers and elders out there to feel comfortable enough to come out and share their knowledge and connection to country. And fortunately, I've been spending some time with these people and learning a lot about country and its power. And I think most Australians, if we're here 4, 5, 6 generations into it, we're starting to feel that power of country and connection to country and the integral nature of reconciliation, not just with First Nations, but with country itself, but which ultimately leads to reconciliation with your own source. And that's powerful, and it's transforming, and it's healing, and it's something that once you experience it, you have to share it. And that's what this song is all about.
Yeah, I can't wait for our 2TM listeners to really listen to this song and listen deeply to it as well. What track is it on the track number 1?
Numero uno.
So it sets the
tone for the whole album. Yep. It's acknowledging country, but also, we're in a strange frequency, most of us. We all operate with a caffeine-fueled, sugar-fueled, economy-driven lifestyle, which is on a tangent, which is not natural. It's a man-made tangent, whereby we are of country, we are of nature. We feel best when we're slowed ourselves down. Let's get here in the present moment. That's what this song's about, taking a deep breath and slowing yourself down.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, it's going to be a very fast weekend here at the Gympie Music Muster.
Absolutely.
You've got a few performances.
And I had a ripper last night with my old mate Phil Dublaze over from Christchurch, New Zealand. I played 25 years plus with that fella, and he moved back to New Zealand when all the craziness went down, and I've missed him like a right arm, but we were together last night at the Grove Bar. That was pretty special as the sun was going down. And then tonight we're at the Muster Club with the full band.
Nice.
So this is going to be fun. Yeah, a lot of fun being between the Vibe, Benji Pocock, Sonny Pocock, Will Pascoe on drums, and Warren Curran, who is a magnificent Indigenous artist from around this way, and he might bring out some of the dig on certain tracks. So I can't wait. It's all for me. I don't really mind if nobody turns up, because I'm going to be having a great time.
Well, Luke O'Shea, it's been great fun to catch up with you as always. Look forward to seeing you back in Tamworth. But for now, enjoy your Gympie Music Muster experience. And if you're here on ground, make sure you grab a physical copy of that CD. And if you're not here in person, make sure you somehow add it to your own personal collection at home.
Thanks, Saz, and always a pleasure to speak to you and all your wonderful listeners out there. See you in Tamworth real soon.
Thanks, Luke.
My pleasure.